Have you ever pondered over what fuels the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, one of the most enduring and controversial conflicts of our time? Today, we're journeying into the heart of this complex issue, guided by a chronological timeline of 25 key facts. These facts, painstakingly curated, will illuminate the origins, the significant events, and the unyielding tensions that characterize this dispute. So, buckle up for a foray into the past, as we unravel the intricacies of this conflict. Join us as we take a deep dive into the annals of history. To understand this intricate conflict, we must travel back to the late 19th century. It was during this time that the seeds of discord were sown with the emergence of two competing ideologies, Zionism and Palestinian nationalism. Zionism, a Jewish nationalist movement, sought to establish a homeland for Jews in the historic land of Israel, a region known to them as Eretz Israel. In parallel, Palestinian nationalism emerged, fueled by the indigenous Arab population's aspiration to establish their own state on the same territory. Both movements had their sights set on the same land, each with deep historical, cultural, and emotional ties to it. This shared aspiration for a homeland in the same territory led to competing territorial claims. These were not just disputes over borders, but deeply rooted in the identities and national aspirations of two peoples. This period set the stage for the tensions that would follow. The Ottoman era, a period of relative harmony among Muslims, Christians, and Jews, gives way to the UN's 1947 partition plan. This era, dating from the late 15th to the early 20th century, was characterized by a spirit of coexistence and cultural exchange. But beneath the surface, the seeds of future conflict were being sown. The late 19th century saw the emergence of two competing nationalist movements: Zionism, advocating for a Jewish homeland in Palestine, and Palestinian nationalism, rooted in a desire for self-determination and independence. As the Ottoman Empire crumbled in the aftermath of World War I, Britain took control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate. Promises were made to both Jews and Arabs, fueling hopes, ambitions, and ultimately, tension. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 pledged British support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, without violating the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities. Fast forward to the end of World War II. The horrors of the Holocaust had increased international sympathy for Jewish refugees and the Zionist cause. The United Nations, newly formed and seeking to avoid further conflict, proposed a partition plan in 1947. This plan aimed to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. Despite Arab rejection of the plan, the UN General Assembly passed it by a two-thirds majority. The Jewish community in Palestine accepted the decision, while Arab nations and Palestinian leaders declared it unfair and unworkable. The stage was set for a turning point in history: Israel's Declaration of Independence. In 1948, a new chapter began with Israel's Declaration of Independence. It was a moment of triumph for Zionism, but also a spark for further conflict. The emergent state faced immediate opposition from its Arab neighbors, ushering in the War of Independence, also known as the Arab-Israeli War. Fast forward to June 1967, and the region was again ablaze with conflict in what would be known as the Six-Day War. In an astounding display of military might, Israel seized control of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. This swift victory solidified Israel's strategic advantage, but also intensified the territorial disputes that lie at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Six-Day War, though brief, had profound implications. It not only reshaped the map, but also the dynamics of the conflict, creating a new set of challenges and complexities. The aftermath of the Six-Day War would lead to further escalations. The 1990s brought a glimmer of hope with the Oslo Accords. These were a series of agreements between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO, that marked a significant shift in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For the first time, both sides formally recognized each other's right to exist, establishing a framework for further negotiations on critical issues like borders, settlements, refugees, and Jerusalem. However, the optimism was short-lived. The assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995 by a right-wing Israeli extremist shook the fragile peace process. The Accord's implementation faced numerous roadblocks, and a series of events, including the Second Intifada, a Palestinian uprising that began in 2000, led to a breakdown in negotiations. The new millennium saw a continuation of violence and uprisings, with periods of relative calm punctuated by conflicts such as the 2008 to 2009 Gaza War and the 2014 Gaza conflict. In between these episodes of heightened violence, there have been peace agreements, like the 2005 Israeli disengagement from Gaza, and ongoing territorial disputes, particularly over the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Despite numerous attempts at peace, the conflict remains unresolved. The question of a two-state solution and independent Palestine living side by side with Israel is still a matter of intense debate. The Palestinian aspiration for statehood clashes with Israeli security concerns, creating a stalemate that has proven difficult to break. And so, the conflict continues, with the international community still grappling for a lasting solution. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a complex tapestry woven with threads of history, nationalism, and territorial disputes. From the roots of the conflict steeped in competing nationalist aspirations, through the pivotal events of the UN's partition plan, Israel's independence, the Six-Day War, to the Oslo Accords, and the subsequent ups and downs. Each event is a testament to the complexity of this issue, a story of harmony lost, and an ongoing quest for resolution. As we continue to observe this conflict, one can only hope for a future where peace prevails.